you talk about the difference between AMC Plus and HBO Max. I mean, platform makes a big difference in terms of reach and how many people see it. Like, so many people around the world know Issa Rae from Insecure because HBO has that worldwide reach. And there are places in the English-speaking world where you cannot get Sherman Showcase or Southside. And that's something I'm working on for all my future projects because you bring up Marlon. Marlon was a show that was on Netflix.
Yeah.
It was on NBC and 5 million people saw it. But it went to Netflix and it must be tens of millions of people because that show has not, we shot 2 seasons and it was in 2017, 2018. Not a week goes past where I'm not like somewhere and somebody comes up to me and either says, "Yo, were you on Marlon?" or they just call out, "Yo, Stevie!"
Right.
Like, it still happens.
Yeah.
I was at the Rams game yesterday, and an Irish dude, Scotland. He was from Scotland. This tall white dude walks up to me. He's like, "Hey, you're Stevie from Marlon, aren't you?" And he's like, "Can I get a selfie?" Like, I was like, "Yo, it's crazy to me that Netflix, HBO Max, they just got reach on a different level."
Yeah, man, and they know it too.
They know it.
They know it too.
They know it.
And that's also why I feel like they don't always want to give out their metrics. So
of course not. Yeah. But I mean, the numbers got to be insane, man.
It got to be insane. But I was talking to, Hassan Minaj?
Of course. Yeah. We did, so we were on an episode of Jimmy Fallon recently.
That's right. Y'all was on the same episode.
He was on the same episode. So we were backstage just like hanging out. It was mad cool. So I love that dude.
Yeah. So that's the homie. We came up together and that's another person that shot a proof of concept. So when you was talking about that, I mean, that's the same thing he did for Homecoming King. He shot that as a proof of concept. Yeah. And then, yeah. Yo,
Hassan is a cool ass dude. I feel like all of my mutual friends with him are black. He just must know a gang of black folk. For real. Like, dude is mad cool. I hope we get to work on something.
Oh, yeah, man. He's a beast, man. I don't even know how the fuck we got on Hassan Minaj. But that's the whole. This is what I wanted to ask you. This is what I was saying. When it came to the metrics, I was like, I said, how do you know? Because I had went to the screening for his The King's Jester. And I said, how would you know? Do they tell you, like, how well it's doing? Netflix. And he was like, nah. He said, so really I kind of gauge from, like, Twitter interactions and stuff like that. That's how I kind of gauge how well the special is doing. And I told him, I said, well, yeah, they don't want you to know because they also don't want you to know how.
Ask for more money. Yeah.
Exactly. How powerful you are. Because they know if you say, I got X amount of people clicking on me, you got to ask for X amount of dollars.
100%, man. And it's kind of a screwed up system in that if you're not doing well, you'll find out because they won't renew you.
Right.
Like, you won't have any idea how you're doing. And then one day they'll be like, okay, so 1 season was enough.
Right.
But then they'll be like, oh, yo, we getting some traction out there. We getting some traction. And they'll come back to you and be like, yes, we're very happy with the metrics. Would you like to do another season? And of course, you're going to be like, yeah, I'd love to do another season. But then you're like, how well did we do?
Right.
I want to know how much I should be asking for. Right. And it's hidden, like in the old days when we had Nielsen ratings, everybody knew, I'll put it like this. The content creators, we knew how much leverage we had. And they've robbed us of knowing what the leverage is. So it's not an ideal situation at all.
Yeah. They like, we know it. This is what I wanted to know. Between Sherman Showcase and Southside, do you have a different writer's room for each?
Yes, they're different. But there's definitely overlap. Like somebody like a Will Miles, who's a stand-up who y'all should know.
I'm going to check him out.
Yeah, Will Miles is great. Very, very funny man. He's on the staff of both. So there are some writers who work on one and not the other, and then there are some writers who work on both.
And then how do you go about getting your writer's room together? Do you go through agents? Is it people that you just know? You like,
it's a combination. Sometimes we're like, hey, we're opening up a room, and we start getting a flood of scripts from every agency, people who know us, and then we sort of piece. And then obviously there's some people who were like, oh, I really want to work. Langston Kerman's somebody who we really wanted to work with. You know what I'm saying? So we were like, yo, Langston, you're from Chicago. You're from Harvey. Come get in this room. You know what I'm saying? So it's a mix and match.
And now is Bashir from Chicago?
Bashir's from Chicago.
Okay, because
and let me just say for all the Chicago heads out there, every writer in the the Southside room is from Chicago except for me from Atlanta. But Atlanta and Chicago got some similarities.
Oh, for a fact. That's a fact.
And
they both kill niggas.
Man, Atlanta, man. You know what? I still love Atlanta. We actually dream of expanding the South Side universe, so to speak. So there would be South Side, which would be Chicago. There'd be Southwest, which would be Zone 4 in Atlanta. There'd be South Central, which would be the LA show. South Philly for Philadelphia. South Bronx for New York. Like we were just like it'd be the Southiverse or something like that. But we would create a bunch of shows for different cities, with a focus on the Black community.